formal mission of U equals me is stated as a movement of conscientious objectors to intolerance, or simply stated, a movement against intolerance. And the exploration of that statement really gets to what are the similarities between people? What do we all have in common? Why are we really equal as humankind? And that's what we're going to explore.
This podcast is about exploring conversational thoughts and interviews with extraordinary people living ordinary lives of well-being. Discussions on exactly what well-being means to people day to day, factors that can influence it both internally and externally. We glean insights on how to survive and thrive in feeling satisfied in life with a greater sense of purpose. Guest hosts bring fresh new outlooks and opinions from spirituality, science, worldviews, and standing up and speaking out for what's right.
It's pretty interesting. Man needs each other and planet Earth to survive. Check it out. I think you'll like what you hear.
Thank you for being here today on our U equals me podcast. We want to recognize and thank all of you who have joined our One Worlders group and downloaded our ebook, Wisdom Along the Way. We are calling on our One Worlders group today to help navigate our feelings on Ukraine into constructive emotions rather than destructive. The world is hanging in the balance. I'm your host today, Cindy Jarvis, and hopefully you will find words of wisdom in this podcast today. We are emotional beings, and the recent events in Ukraine has been unbearable after a time when the world is battered by COVID and now war. I wanted to speak about what we're witnessing and introduce a more enlightened relationship to our feelings and respond with the knowledge of a deeper wisdom to the war in Ukraine. If Ukraine loses this battle, then Putin takes more and more countries. China is waiting to take Taiwan, just watching and waiting. These power-hungry dictators and their belief in violence is horrid and intolerable. And people around the world are saying no more. No more dictators, no more cryptocracies, no more oligarchs or global elites. This war is awful, witnessing man's inhumanity to man, a heartbreaking catastrophe to humanity. People are feeling the pain for Ukraine globally, and it is unbearable. This time we're currently living in is what has been called the Great Awakening, the realization of humanity as one species. The world we perceive is one of separation, and all perception comes from what is within our minds projected outwards. But we do have control over our minds, since the mind is the mechanism of decision. People are waking up to their personal power. We're shifting our consciousness. Things are no longer happening over here or over there because it's happening in all of our hearts now. It's happening. We're coming off 2 years of COVID. The pandemic is proof of no boundaries as the virus serves the world. It is so stressful now, and I know I can feel it, but I just want to bend your mind a little bit so we can feel more powerful in this moment to help heal the world. People are asking themselves, what can I do? How can I help as civilians living miles away or even right next door to the bombing? If we're not in government or the military, we feel helpless. Today I want to ask you to look at the conflict with an open heart and observe what it's bringing up in you. I know this sounds awkward, but please just hear me out. This war, I know, is awful. We can feel overwhelmed and disempowered, like there's nothing we can do when we see the graphic, horrific images. But there is an opportunity for us to open our hearts to look inside, to see where we are fighting, and transmute the conflict energies in our lives. And that is going to help shift the planet. We can all use pain as a way to shift ourselves. We have to put down our swords and shields to do so. We're being gifted this opportunity as a whole to observe parts within ourselves where we do not feel free, do not feel seen, and feeling disempowered. We're given this opportunity through this experience, even though it is tremendously painful, to understand we are all one. All from the same source. We share the same globe, the same sky. Unfortunately, it takes these extreme measures to wake up humanity. To help our neighbors in Ukraine, we have to transmute within ourselves that which is holding us back from shining our light, because only light can rid the darkness. What is happening in Ukraine is the beginning of a new world, a new government expression. The United Nations, the UN, will be stronger by the demands of its people. We are shifting our consciousness. We can see it. I believe what we're witnessing now is the demise of dictators. It is important to the Western world that Ukraine defend its sovereignty. The world overwhelmingly wants no war. We want no more bullies. Bullies are powerful until they are stopped. The superior mask is an inferiority complex. Putin thinks he can cower others with the threat of nuclear attacks. He will not prevail. We are at a collective choice point coming out of this period, this overpowerment period. We are faced with two paths, and we can help in determining that path with our own minds. It's interesting that Putin thought he could raise the USSR and rebuild the Russian Empire. Putin wants to rule the world, and apparently he thought he could. Well, he cannot. Putin is power-hungry, greedy, and he doesn't trust anyone because he's not trustworthy. There is no way to understand the mind of Putin. He's imbalanced, pathological, and he loves being feared. Putin has given Trump the playbook here. They have grandiose ideas, acute narcissists, power-hungry, and we can understand why Trump adores Putin. They want to increase conflict on a global scale in order to gain more power. Russian people and soldiers have been betrayed. Many have defected. Russian soldiers are afraid for their lives, not from the Ukrainians, but from their own country. Many have provided assistance to President Zelensky. Ukrainians are Russian. Soldiers do not want to fight. There is a tremendous amount of resistance within the Russian people who are aware of what's happening. It is now a crime in Russia to say the word war, punishable by 15 years in prison. Citizens are not the criminal here. Putin is. This is heartbreaking to witness what has been done to Ukraine. It is messy and chaotic, tragic. But we are witnessing the strength of Ukraine. Women going into battle for their country. The strength of Ukraine and its people is inspiring others and soliciting help from around the world in weapons, volunteers from other countries, and hopefully now fighter jets. 20,000 people from 52 countries have volunteered to fight in Ukraine. We are a global economy now. The world is watching and demanding truth. Humanity is at a crossroads. We are coming out of this period of underpower structure. We are emerging out of this point. It's happening. We're observing it. This is part of the shift in consciousness. Coming into our human sovereignty, these power structures, the power over structures, will fall as a result of these world events. I recently attended 2 live global meditations for Ukraine, and I realized we have to go inside of ourselves. It is important to observe our energy on a daily basis. Are we coming from a place where we have to fight against something? Are we matching the same energy that we're observing? This is really really important here. What is being activated within us? Are we matching that energy, or are we coming from an empowered place? This is where we need to understand the difference. Are we matching the fight, the anger, the hatred? Even those who are attacking, are we seeing them as not being part of Source or less than God? Because if we are, this is giving us an opportunity to observe within ourselves that which needs to be transmuted. Even in this circumstance, we need to live life with love. Faith and fear have something in common. They both ask us to believe in something we cannot see. How do we stay in our power in this destructive time? Firstly, do not give in to fear. The most important thing right now is to be self-empowered. Be aware of our energy, our conscious mind. Everything we are doing is a reflection of what we are creating. Go in love. Send love even to Putin. Love is all you need. This is so true, and what is true is always true, and it's harder to practice when we're in times like this. Love will rule the world. It will. We have to trust that and have faith in it. Community will be really important in the coming years. How can we help each other? How can we get over our past? Get over our neighbors or other areas of hurt? Because that's all anger is. Coming back to the open heart, realizing what we have in common here is that we are all humans. We all want the same freedom to love our families, have our needs taken care of. We all want common things, to be love, and to be loved. How we heal ourselves as individuals will help the entire world. This is the hard part because this is a real catastrophe. People are being killed, families being ripped apart. This has a potential of ending very badly. How we shift ourselves into the best possible outcome is through ourselves, through our own energy. The more of us that can shift and are walking embodiments of peace, in the understanding that we can shift this in our communities, in our own lives, we can be beacons of peace and light. Light is a beacon. We have to move to the light in ourselves. Thoughts are things and words are things. Only positive reinforcements of love. Please visualize the Russian soldiers laying down their arms. There is only love. Now we have to trust it. Love radiates like the sun and provides warmth. From this time going forward, we will have a stronger NATO. We are a community of common unity. We are united in our humanity, but we must do our part individually. We must look in the mirror and see where we are a match to this violence. We will have strengthened the United Nations. Science and artists are changing the world. New businesses will emerge. We cannot underestimate the spirit and will of the Ukrainian people. Birthing a new way of being is messy. Out of chaos will come order. Trust it. We are divine transmitters. If we can accept the divinity that we are by releasing, reframing untrue beliefs about ourselves, we can go forward. Once again, if we heal ourselves, we heal the world. How? By the realization we are one. One source, one humanity. How we are as collective humans and how we are co-creators is something we need to look at. We can change the world faster if we realize our individual power right now. Get quiet every day. Listen to your heart. Be in peace. Make peace with your past. That looks like forgiveness and healing. We are changing the world through these actions. We are, because we are from one source. In the simplest of terms, to understand this, you equals me. We are not separate, and we need to change the belief that we are. This must first be recognized if we are to move forward at all. Healing is the understanding that we are not separate and we are not alone. We ask you again to open your hearts and share this message. Thank you for listening. In closing today, I want to send this reminder of how important it is for us to realize that thoughts do have consequences to the thinker. We have projected outward what is antagonistic to what is inward. This is why we must realize that our hatred is in our mind and not outside of it before we can get rid of it. We do have control over our minds, since the mind is the mechanism of decision making. I want to thank Dr. Lisa Medhus and Courtney Dillon for letting us share some of their work, along with Sheila and Marcus Gillette and Paul Selig. Thank you for your great insights. If you would like to join our One Worlders group for a complimentary copy of our ebook, Wisdom Along the Way, you can find us at uequalsme.org. Links will be in the show notes. Also, links on how you can support Ukrainian families will be in the show notes. Go in love and bring in light. Bye for now.